Hello, Whole Woman listeners. Welcome back. We have another great show for you. I'm Rachel,
And I'm Kim.
and today we are about to drop the truth about resolutions. Are you so tired of making them? I know I have been, and we just don't do it anymore, do we, Kim?
Nope, don't do it. I said goals or intentions for the
Yeah.
year ahead, but I don't do I'm giving up resolutions anymore.
Yeah. I mean, how many January 1st were you like, I'm quitting smoking this year. I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
And then next, like January 1st at like 3 p.m., you're like, so next year.
I would hate to waste the pack.
Oh no, I even tried to time it perfectly, like,
Mhm.
smoking until 11:59 the night before on New Year's Eve, like, thinking my chest was gonna concave. But, we learn, we live, we learn, we grow. And so this is the show about doing that, of course, sharing some funny stories along the way.
Hmm. I think about all the things that I've said I'm giving up. And, I mean, like I gave up New Year's resolutions long before I gave up resolutions as a whole. I mean, it was always like once I gave up the New Year's thing because I owned a gym and I knew my biggest sales were always the end of December, right? And then January 1st would be packed and the second it'd be packed. And by the 15th, it'd be like, where are the people? you know so I gave those up, but then I hung on to my I'll start on Monday resolutions, or I'll start next month resolutions for a long time after I gave up my yearly ones.
Oh, yes, I remember those too.
Hmm.
It's especially when we were in the throes of our dieting. I mean, and I still hear women say, my diet starts Monday.
Hmm.
And I remember those days. I don't remember them fondly, but I do remember doing that. And it's just an interesting thing that we do with our societal norms, with the peer pressure that we're always under to, but the real evolving for me is when I stayed quiet about what I was going to do. And I think that's when I was really set on doing the work for making the change for whatever was coming up for me at that time. But when you make that proclamation, you're, I don't know if you agree with this, but you're essentially setting yourself up for failures.
Yeah, I agree. Initially, I thought, oh, it's just I'm getting an accountability partner, or I'm telling people what I'm going to do so that um I don't I'm more hesitant to like give up, right? But what I found is that I actually just started sneaking.
Yes.
It's like saying, okay, I'm not going to eat sugar for a month. I remember like not a yearly resolution, but when I did Whole 30 for the first time, it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, there's not going to be any gluten, any sugar, anything, right? For a whole month. And then it's just like, I'm going crazy. And I'd feel so guilty for eating something. I don't want to feel guilt for eating
Right.
something. I want to do the very best thing I can for myself most of the time, and I want to enjoy my life. And yeah. I just so so when's the last time you made a New Year's resolution?
Oh man, it's been decades. I just haven't done it in decades.
Hmm.
And I think because I just recognized it was a pattern. Like, I'm gonna make this resolution to do this.
Hmm.
When I also believe, and this might be something we've talked about before, but it keeps being true because it is true. But I would say something that I wanted to do or work on for the new year, or like you said, every Monday.
Yeah.
And it just was surface stuff because I wasn't going in deep to figure out why I do this behavior, why this is so hard to do this, or why it wasn't really resonating. I just felt like I had to do this.
Hmm.
And so thinking about my past New Year's resolutions, they never stuck because I didn't believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I just didn't do them for the right reasons. It wasn't time, you know. I quit smoking 22 times, twice, no, three times successfully. And that makes no sense whatsoever, right? But when I got pregnant the first time, when I got pregnant the second time, I quit for like a whole chunk of time, like from the moment I found out I was pregnant all the way through nursing and into toddlerhood. And then one day I picked one up. And because I didn't think through, why do you smoke? Whatever, like I light one and I was back in it again. I mean, like whole hog back in.
Yeah.
There had never been a break. And then finally when I quit, I was going on a class trip with my son to Spain and I was going to be on a plane for 15 hours and I'd spent a lot of money and I finally just decided, what are you doing? You're not going to smoke in front of these kids. You're not going to whatever. Are you going to spend this money to take a trip with your son and be sneaking off all the time to smoke a cigarette? No, how stupid is this? And it was in that moment that I was finally able to break what I wanted to do. Um, the same with weight loss once upon a time. I mean, it's like I've been over spot dieting for a long time.
Hmm.
I've got this event coming or that event coming or whatever, but I just want to be healthy. I just want to be who I am.
Hmm.
But it wasn't until I tried and failed 252,000 times
Yeah.
that I finally found something that I feel sticks and is my life now. I mean, like I don't have a diet that I follow. I live my life, and the way I live my life includes whole foods and movement and sleep and water, right? It's not anything special. And yeah, anyway, off my soapbox. Boom, boom.
Yeah, no, no, no. It's not a soapbox. It's just, it's an interesting evolution of human beings. Like,
Mhm,
especially as you and I are in our 50s, we've had this whole life of our 20s, 30s, and even 40s of being on a diet. So it's was pretty ingrained in us.
mhm,
So to be in this stage of life that we get to go into the next year with, I want to be happy. I want to spend time with the people I love. I want to experience life instead of, okay, diet starts Jan 1st, and then you're basically repeating the same year
mhm.
over and over again. I think that's the freedom of not making a resolution of what we're talking about. It
Yep.
doesn't have to be diets, it doesn't have to be smoking. It can be anything that if you've kind of set the same resolution for maybe 4 or 5 years in a row, maybe it's time to just say, you know what? I don't want to do that this year.
Mhm.
And go into this new year with, I'm just so excited about 2026. I think it's going to be just an interesting year from everything I've learned in 2025. So that's kind of where my mindset is and my energy is going into. I'm just excited about what's going to happen and what else I'm going to learn and what else I get to experience.
Yeah. And you and I are the lucky ones who have birthdays in December. And when my birthday rolls around, I spend at least one day in reflection about what happened last year and what I would like to have happen in the coming year. And it's really not resolutions, it's more what was good, what was bad in the last year. And really, my life is so good. There's nothing bad. There are just things I would change.
Hmm.
Um, and and then I look ahead and rather than, I mean, to me, when I make a resolution, I'm saying I'm done with this and I'm moving forward. And instead, when I do my birthday reflection, I think about what do I want to add into my life in the coming year. And so
Right.
to me, resolution has a negative connotation, but planning or manifesting or goal setting or dreaming, those have such a positive connotation to me. So I do have goals and
Hmm.
things I'd like to do maybe differently or new things I'd like to explore in the coming year. And I have that on a list of things just because I'd love to go back and when I reflect next December 10th and say, what have you done? Do you do any sort of, in absence of resolutions, do you do goal setting or do you make a list of things you want to do in the next year? I know we have on our agenda to talk about manifesting and intentions moving into the next year, but um, do you just wing it or in absence of resolutions, are you planning?
I I don't do it as diligently as you do, but sometimes when the right thing comes along that motivates me to write a list or goals for the next year or even the nearer future, I do that.
Mhm.
But something came across my Instagram feed earlier this year about writing your future self a letter. And I did that. So I'm interested. I even set a timer on my phone to on that date to read it. So I will be interested to see
Hmm.
what I said.
I like that. I like that
Yeah.
idea. Hmm. I have to try that. Is it after 1 year?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. Your own little time capsule sort of thing. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, in your time at the gym, let's talk a little bit about resolutions as a whole and how we came to terms with the fact that we're just not doing them. You're a personal trainer. I'm a nutritionist who owned a gym. And so we encountered a lot of people all the time. What are some of the negatives that you see about setting resolutions?
Well, other than what I mentioned initially today, is that setting yourself up for failure. But
Mhm.
it's just another way that women are punishing themselves
Mhm.
or missing out on life. You know, I'm not going to eat blah, blah, blah for the next year. I'm not going to miss a workout the next year. And when you set up this rigidity of your life, there's never the question of, well, are you gonna, how are you gonna make do when something comes up that doesn't fit your schedule or your resolution? Are you making time to enjoy yourself and go on trips and maybe not think about exercise or diets for a little while?
Mhm.
And I don't think we as fitness professionals, I know at least I didn't when a new client or an old client setting these resolutions would say those things to me, I didn't make room for those questions. Like, well, how are we going to enjoy the new year?
Mhm.
And I wish I would have, and I think I would now. But luckily, my clients that are still with me are not focused on those things.
Mhm.
You know, I am grateful for that. But I know that there are people out there probably thinking about doing these resolutions right now.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I'm going to make it through the holidays without a drink, or I'm going to make it through the holidays without sugar. I'm going to sit at the holiday table without any carbs on my plate, right? Yes. I mean, we've heard it all. And it's just so rooted in pressure. Resolutions are not rooted in purpose as far as I'm concerned. It's
Yeah,
identifying
who
what's
started
bad.
resolution?
I don't know. But see, it could be so positive. It could be, let's make a resolution in the coming year to read more books. Let's make a resolution in the coming year to get more sleep. Let's make a resolution in the new year to try to move with intention at least 5 days a week. I mean, in my mind, those are all positives, but
Yeah.
instead it's which are also all purposeful because they all lead us towards something better for ourselves. But when
Mhm.
we say, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to quit this. I'm going to quit this. I'm never going to do this again. This is the year that I do. Those are also negative. And when you plant the seed of negativity in your brain, I think it's just so easy to feel like a failure
Mm.
when those things come up, like you said. And so many people just ultimately give up. Like, oh, I can't do it. I'm done.
Mm.
Well, you can,
Yeah,
you
that
can,
that is another result of resolutions. I do feel like you
yeah.
feel like a failure because it just didn't work. But instead of saying, you know, maybe this expectation I'm putting on myself is unrealistic and not sustainable.
Mhm.
But I do love there are some people that do that. They do a nice, healthy resolution or a goal setting for themselves to become a better person, to become a happier, more content person. So I love that. I think you and I, what we're talking about really is the punishing that we do to ourselves year in, year out, and to maybe recognize that pattern of behavior this year and going into it with a lighter expectation, not only of ourselves, but the people in our life too. I
Hmm.
know for me, that's definitely, I've been learning a lot this year about people's behavior, relationships, female friendships, and as my thinking is evolving regarding that and what I'm not willing to sacrifice anymore and what I'm super excited to carry into the next year, I've been enjoying this thought process because usually when something is coming about in your life and you're ready to make a change, it is kind of like an anger, right? You've gotten fed up with something, so you're like, I'm not doing that this year. And I was just like, you know what? Now that I know what peace and calm feels like, and I know what steps I need to take to continue that, that's what I'm doing this year. I'm
Hmm.
gonna protect my peace, protect my calm, and not be so reactive. And it's interesting how now I'm putting the responsibility on me as opposed to I'm not dealing with you or your shit and have a great life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, listen, I think that's also a very important aspect of this conversation is that I we don't really put a lot of responsibility on ourselves and our resolutions. It's just like it's so supposed to magically happen and not do any of the footwork. And so I'm definitely not doing that this year.
Yeah. And I think so often resolutions have a number attached to them. Like I'm going to get to this weight this year, right?
Hmm.
And the reason I don't like that is because so many people start good habits with just that one goal in mind. And so when they don't reach that one goal that has a number attached to it, they give up on all the good things that they did do for themselves, right?
Hmm.
Maybe they quit eating fast food all the time, or they started cooking more at home, or maybe they started exercising every day. But when they couldn't reach the milestone that they set for themselves, they're like, ah, it doesn't work anyway. And then they just abandon all the good that they
Yep.
did. Yeah, I just think, I don't know, we need to focus on the good, you know? Yeah.
That is very true. I think so many of us humans have this, and I don't know where it comes from either, but this weird thing in our brain that if we're not good at something right away, then we're pieces of shit. You
Mhm.
know, there's no like learning curve, there's no trying something, this sticks, this doesn't, and just giving ourselves permission to have that experience. Is like, if I don't know how to do a triathlon after jogging after a week, then I am just a loser. And I mean, I've done this to myself many times, especially when it comes to dun 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 technology. Like I feel like my brain should understand it, but it doesn't. And I get
Mhm.
really frustrated really fast. So now I'm just like, you know what? That's what paying people is for.
Yeah.
You pay people or you ask for people to help because it just is not something that I understand that it's easy for me. So I know that in this department, this area of my life, I have to ask for help.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep. I agree 100%. You know, the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is you and I are going through seasons in our lives. And I mean, there are seasons from birth on, right? But sometimes like, people hit this fresh start and they make all these plans for themselves. And again, whether you set a punitive resolution or you set a positive resolution, life still happens. And, you know, like we both have aging parents, we have careers, and there are other people involved in our careers. And sometimes you just can't avoid a disruption to the plan. And when I had the gym, I remember we did challenges, right? And I think I've talked about this before, but we would do specific 9-week challenges where people would come in, they would join, they would take pictures, they'd work really hard. There was a prize at the end for one person, right? And there would be people who would just vanish because, oh, they missed 3 days because mom went in the hospital and I had to be there with her. And really, the most important thing that I would tell them is you don't undo the good in one day or 3 days or even a week or even a month. You had to make some changes in your life when you went into the hospital earlier this year. Did it undo all the good that you were doing before? No. Did you notice a change in yourself after a week or two of having to slow down a little bit? Probably. You probably
Mhm.
had to re-engage at the gym. Maybe you drop your weights a little bit when you first went back or whatever the case may be, but that doesn't mean you
Yeah.
failed. It doesn't mean you failed.
Right.
We have to respect the seasons that we're in, the things that happen in our life, and applaud ourselves when we re-engage in healthy lifestyle, no matter when it is.
I love how you describe that because that's so true. I mean, how many times have you and I, even as fitness professionals, had to start over,
Mhm.
stop and start over many times? You gave birth to two human beings. I'm sure you weren't out there deadlifting 500 pounds when you were 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So I think
I've
that
never
is such a
deadlifted.
lovely way. Well, I love to be extreme. Um, I just think, but it's such a lovely way to show that in our life, consistency is the key, right? That's the beauty of it. But having to shift from, you're right. I mean, when I got home from the hospital and I decided to exercise that first few days after that, I walked for 10 minutes and I did bicep curls with 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I built myself back up, but that took a few months.
Mm-hmm.
It took a few months. And you're right, because have a very healthy relationship with with the gym. I didn't even think that that was a failure. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even think that way because I've been doing it most of my life and it's just something I've had to do before. You get sick, you go back to the gym, or you've been on vacation, or you've listened to enough examples, but things happen in life where you start and stop.
Mm-hmm.
But the gym for me is my therapy. It's my happy place. So I will always find a way to get back to it, modified or not.
Yep.
And I think that that's a great approach to other things too.
Mm-hmm.
Good on you, Kimmy.
Some
Look at
days.
you being that. Look at you being that health coach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, some days. So I'm curious. You and I have talked about different things. I have three things that I am going to try to expand in my world in 2026, or
Mhm.
maybe in my 58th year. That's what I should say.
Okay. Okay.
One of those is I want to have a moment in every day that I have an honest connection with someone. In my career, I spend a lot of time in front of my computer, either reading people's words or helping with their social media or whatever it is, and days can just like go by. And sometimes, even though I live with my husband and I love him very much, sometimes we can just both get in this rut where we don't really connect. And so that's one of my goals, one of my focuses for 2026. It's not a resolution. I'm not going to say I'm going to record one person I've talked to every day, but that's a goal of mine. It's just the two of us here. And sometimes I get lazy in the kitchen. So another goal of mine, and I think it's a positive, is to cook one new recipe every week.
Oh, I
Um,
like that.
yeah, like I've got bookshelves full of cookbooks, and sometimes I forget they're there. Plus, you can Google anything, I look at what's in the fridge and Google it, throw it in ChatGPT, whatever you want, and say, hey, what would you make? Find a new recipe. So that's the second thing. And then a third thing, and it's something I've done for a long, long time. And you know that I write every morning, but I go through ebbs and flows where I let life get in the way of something that is healing for me and creative for me. And so
Hmm.
I bought a brand new journal and I love the idea of starting January 1st just with fresh paper and the hope and prayers for new creativity. Again, no expectation on how much I write or if it really is truly every single day, but those are my goals for 2026 in lieu of
I
resolution.
love it. I think, you have been on the receiving end of my focus on my home organizing business this year. I've talked to you, off camera about it a lot and how I'm really looking to expand that. But for the past 2 years, I've just been throwing everything at Greenville to see what sticks. But now, after having some very interesting experiences at the beginning of my home organizing career, I've realized who I really am and how I really want to help people. So that has made things super clear and my messaging super clear. And I'm so grateful for, you and some of the other people that I've had in my life. And I took this business course from a woman named Angela this past year. And it just, I, my point is that I'm learning that there's steps, there's also timing, there's also going into it very clear what you want and what you're willing to give. And I'm excited about the new year because I think things are I know they're gonna change. And I'm really excited about that because I took the time without freaking out. Like, why isn't this happening for me? Because I needed to learn some stuff. So
Mhm.
to be able to just put that over here, focus on this, but now I know how to apply it.
Mhm.
I just I love this process and I want to use it in things moving forward. I think the calmer that you are, the more at peace you are when you're going through life changes, it makes a world of difference of how you get through it, how you deal with it, and who you become at the other end. So again, no resolutions, but goals to really be
Mhm.
the person I want to be, which is kind, helpful, and making your home a peaceful place.
Mhm. I love that. I'm excited to see what 2026 brings for us. And I would love to know what other people are doing as we get older and wiser and settle into who we really are. I'd like to know if more people do the same thing. If they just get tired of punitive resolutions and decide, nope, this is my year to do whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish that for all of our listeners, and we would love to hear some of your goals that you're planning for the year. If you are, we would, but you don't have to, but it would be really lovely to hear what some of them are.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. Well, friend, I think that really kind of wraps it up for us this week. I'm excited. We've got a lot of great ideas for next year and a lot of, like you mentioned last week, some guests on the schedule. And the
Mhm.
whole woman is going to grow into areas that we never anticipated when we started either. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Absolutely. Can't wait to share next year with you, Kimmy.
Yes, it'll be fun. All
It
right,
will be.
friend.
All right, whole women listeners, thank you so much for tuning in again, and we will see you next week.
Bye.